Muddy. Muddy looking.
Okay.
So sorry.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and friends. Everyone can be a great leader. This was my realization when I heard a talk by this guy named Ali Rogani. Ali Rogani formerly worked under Steve Jobs as the chief financial officer for Pixar. He held that position for 4 years, and then later on he became the chief financial officer and then eventually the chief operating officer for Twitter. He also held that role for over 4 years, and he is now a partner at Y Combinator, the Silicon Valley-based startup accelerator, an investment firm responsible for nurturing and bringing into the world companies like Airbnb, Stripe, DoorDash, Dropbox, Reddit, Twitch, and many others, including, I'm proud to say, Lambda School, where I work. So Rogani has been in an executive position for many years, and he has been fortunate enough to observe up close all kinds of founders, CEOs, and COOs, and learn from them. And he has come to these two conclusions. Number one, that there isn't really a single archetype for what a great leader looks like. Not all CEOs are like Steve Jobs. Some, like the business magnate John D. Rockefeller, are more introverted. And two, that although there's no single archetype or model for what a great leader looks like, all of them, no matter how diverse their personalities and styles are, share 3 common traits. Now, I too want to be a good leader, and Rogani's insights are very liberating for me because I'm naturally an introvert. And the implication here is that I don't really need to be extroverted in order to have the capacity to lead people well. I can just be myself and still be great at what I do when I'm put in a leadership capacity. As long as I develop within myself those 3 attributes that Rogani talked about. And this is what I want to briefly discuss tonight. I want to talk about those 3 essential traits that are shared by all leaders across history. These are qualities that, if practiced consistently, can make us great leaders as well. So the first attribute that all great leaders possess, according to Rogani, is clarity of mind and language. This means having a clear or logical mind. So the first attribute that all great leaders possess, according to Rogani, is clarity of mind and language. This means having a clear or logical mind and a simple or concise way of communicating or utilizing language. This only makes sense as leadership requires the ability to see things or situations as they really are, make judgments about them, create visions, and communicate your ideas and visions clearly and simply to those people whom you are leading. The muddier your thinking is, the non-rational you are. The non-rational you are, and the more convoluted your way of reasoning and communicating, the less likely you'll be able to understand your situation, solve problems, and lead a team of people. According to D.Q. McInerney in his book Being Logical, A Guide to Good Thinking, thinking clearly simply means thinking well. And thinking well simply means being logical. And being logical simply involves 3 things. Number 1, cultivating a mind that is attuned to objective facts in the world and has a mind that has clear ideas and words for those facts. Number 2, knowing the basic principles or foundation of logic. Number 3, knowing how to identify what an argument is, that is the public expression of logic, and how to formulate it. And number 4, identifying and avoiding fallacies in thinking. Logic is a super interesting topic, and I'll talk about it another day. The second attribute that all great leaders possess is having the ability to read people well. And related to that, having an excellent character. This means having the ability to quickly understand a person's personality, character, skills, motives, and so on. This is more like an intuition that you have that you can hone or sharpen. We often experience this when we meet people who rub us off the wrong way.
Oh dear.
Perhaps it's a person whom we meet at the meeting, or someone who's new to our company, and they strike us in many negative ways. Perhaps it is not the person's fault. Perhaps they're unintentional or unaware of the negative impression they're giving to the people around them. And it's also very probable that we ourselves may also sometimes strike other people in negative ways and so on. According to Paul Graham,
I know.
the co-founder of Y Combinator, you need to have this ability to be an excellent reader people in order to create a successful startup or company. One of the things that make a startup successful, apart of course from a successful product, is its culture. And culture is simply made by the people who work for your company. If most of those people are, let's say, jerks, it's going to create a very toxic culture that's eventually going to harm every facet of your organization. In fact, when Paul Graham and Y Combinator evaluate the startups that they're going to fund, they look out for not just intelligence and brilliance.
Do not do that. Sorry. You step on her stomach. Do not do that on yeah.
I didn't softly.
Remember,
I was actually holding my foot.
when you're playing lagi,
Touched her.
shh, listen. When you're playing ba, make sure you don't hurt each other.
I was just like,
Even no, don't like, because you might accidentally step on her without intending it.
And then that's gonna damage your organs. Imagine
According to
your
Paul
liver.
Graham, where were we?
I was reading a book in the night.
In fact, when Paul Graham and Y Combinator evaluate the startups that they're going to fund, they look out for not just intelligence and brilliance in programming, but also character and personality. That is, whether the founders of a company are good sorts of people. This was how Brian Chesky and the other founders of Airbnb got funded. Y Combinator didn't believe in their product at first.
Come on, Ayana.
Let's just say YC.
Just touch timer. That is using it.
Air bed and breakfast at the time sounded weird, but they believed in the goodness, humility, and smartness of Chesky and the others. And the third attribute of all great leaders is that they make their job their life's work. They make their job their life's work. This means they have great dedication to their jobs. They don't see their work as an occupation, but rather as a calling, as an opportunity to do great and significant things. Something that can really, things that can really positively impact.
Fire, okay? And put fire between your legs.
That really positively impact the lives of so many people. Austin Allred, the founder of and CEO of Lambda and my boss, once reminded us that we are not just making widgets. We affect people's lives. We unlock their potentials, train them, and help them launch new, lucrative careers as software engineers and data scientists.
Oh my goodness.
Most of our graduates started out as having the most rudimentary knowledge in computer, the most rudimentary knowledge in computer and programming. And after 9 months of learning and experiential application, we have helped them get jobs at companies like Amazon, Google, Uber, Stripe, Microsoft, Twitter, Comcast, and many other tech companies, big and small, across the United States. So in summary then, there's really no single archetype for what a great leader. This is great news, for this means that you and I can be good leaders too.
How come it's red?
It means I'm out of time because there's a time limit. For as long as we practice and develop those 3 essential leadership traits. Number 1, clarity of mind and language, or the language to think clearly or logically and communicate simply and concisely. Number 2, the ability to read people well, and related to that, having an excellent character. And lastly, number 3, making your job as your life's work, or treating it as a calling rather than merely an occupation. In a word, friends, anyone can be a great leader. You stop share and this.